Hi folks, Gamerbug here again, and today I'm trying out something very new to me, but also technically very old to me. The old? Well, that's something Transformers related, and the new? Making a video and reviewing a figure for my collection. Now, I've never done a video review before. I have done an unboxing for Missing Link Optimus Prime, which sort of counts, I guess, but I'm hoping to do something a bit more professional. Yeah, let's say professional, and put them in inverted commas. So I'm up against it with having never really done this before, but also why watch this when you can actually watch a good Transformers reviewer? Well, good point. And all I can say is for my reviews, or maybe my thoughts might be a better way of describing it, I'll be trying to compare them up against the original G1 toys. This will be a combination of my memories of the toys as a kid and using imagery showing the classic toys off as well, alongside their modern counterparts. Before we start, if you enjoy the video, please leave a like. And consider subscribing, it's always appreciated and it certainly does help the channel. That said, I've now rambled on too long already, so we better get on with the issue at hand, and that is discussing today's candidate, Studio Series 86 Brawn. Now, this is a figure I can draw on my memories for, as it was a toy I indeed had as a kid, and not only that, but Brawn here was one of my favourites to boot, be that my toy, the comic version or the original cartoon. He was just a character that I loved. Until they killed him. Putting that childhood trauma aside, let's get straight in and look at our beefy boy, and straight away, wow, this guy looks amazing. I mean, the nostalgia vibes are buzzing like bees in honey. Do bees buzz in honey? I don't know, it sounded good at the time. Regardless, this version of Brawn is almost everything I could wish for. The look, the size, the colours, and the overall feel just scream Brawn to me, and he is a shouty and proud fella. Putting him up against his retro self, and he does a lot right, and he rights a lot of wrongs as well. Starting at his head, and well, for a start, he actually has one. Now, you could argue he always had a head before, but technically all he really had was a face. The head itself, if it existed, was buried in the front of the car. But here we have a proper 3D realised head, and he looks fabulous. Now, I'll be the first to say, I do love his old Cylon looking visage. And if they had maybe a mask you could clip on, well, that'd be fantastic. But as we don't, is this head better? Well, yes. Yes, it is. I mean, look at those baby blues and the sculpt and the detail. It's just awesome. If I were to niggle about anything, it's the range of motion. But that said, the original had zero motion, nor 80% of the head. So this is a win no matter how you want to look at it. Moving down, and the torso pays such a lovely homage to the original whilst being unique and new, and not putting a foot wrong as far as I'm concerned. The back does have a fairly sizable backpack, but I feel it fits our chunky chap well, and the original had the entire roof here as well, and this folds up to make it a bit smaller, though ironically this makes it a bit deeper as well. Does this bother me? No. I would say this captures the original toy feel perfectly with a modern twist. If I had any issue with this, the backpack does sometimes cause grief when it comes to balance on this guy, and he can fall over a little too easy. The arms, of course, are very different. Gone are the weird robot claws and replaced with some lovely painted forearms and fists, and the green upper biceps, and this is just definitely for the better. Yeah, I had some love for those boxy old vice grips, but they just didn't work for the modern age, being so much a relic of days past. As always, we have the standard 5mm port for weapons, and unlike the original, we actually get a weapon, but more on that later. Now, it's worth mentioning that with painted parts comes the fear of chipping that paint, but so far I haven't experienced that, and I transformed Brawn a fair bit when I got him. It's also worth noting the fists are quite tight, so again you'd expect to see more chipping, but that hasn't happened. The arms also have the first bit of gapping, but for a deluxe this is the first bit we've really seen, and even though it's there, it's definitely not the worst by a long shot. The legs look immensely better than the original toy, and if they didn't I'd be shocked, as they were definitely one of the worst parts of the 1984 figure. I'd say his legs before looked almost akin to spindly deer legs, and now he has legs that if he weren't a robot you'd call them meaty. Once again, zero gaps, and as I said, this is a deluxe class. Yeah, he's a bit shorter than the average, but he's making up for it in pure gristle? Maybe not gristle. Heft. The feet are sturdy with good articulation, and he can pull off a good range of poses easily, whereas old 80s boy would fall over at the drop of a hat. As I have stated though, The backpack is the issue here. Maybe if he had slightly bigger heels, but you can still get good poses without him falling, and I struggle more so here because of the smoothness of the surface he's stood on. Weirdly, you can mistransform him to give him the same kind of legs he had in the original toy, but a nightmare-fueled version where he looks kind of terrifying and kind of like the Landstriders from the Dark Crystal, or maybe it was those Wheelers from Return to Oz. Now there's some weird creepy 80s nostalgia for you. Either way, nope. All of that oddness aside, the robot mode of Studio Series Brawn is simply amazing, and it betters the 84 version in every way, which shouldn't be hard, but sometimes you would be surprised. But this fella just here smashes it, and then some. Accessory wise, he only comes with a pistol, which is way more than the original did, not that he could have held one anyway. It's a decent enough gun, but personally I find it a bit small though, especially for a brute like Brawn, so I swapped this puny gun for something more fitting for him. And I don't know about you, but I think that looks a heck of a lot better. Onto articulation, and the head can swivel completely 360. Obviously you can go in both directions, but it has no movement beyond that whatsoever. No side to side, no front to back. You can kind of cheat a forward, but that's a bit of a cheat. Arm articulation, well, the arm can go straight out to the side, no problem, and forward and backwards, there's no impediment at all, goes all the way around. We have a bicep swivel, which is nice as well. And we also do have a over 90-degree elbow bend. However, it can be a bit stiff to do. This I think is due to the paint, and this is also true of the fact that the wrist can actually swivel inwards due to transformation. Again, tricky and hard. I think it's because of the paint. That said, haven't scratched the paint whatsoever, so all in all I'd call this pretty good articulation for the upper half. Waist wise, we do have a full 360 rotation. Mine's very tight. Also, you sometimes have to move the backpack out of the way because it can get in the way. As for the legs, we do have thigh rotation, which is nice. And then the legs can kick all the way out to the side, no problems, and all the way out to the front as well with no impediment whatsoever. However, backwards, that backpack definitely gets in the way. The knee itself can actually bend, but it only goes, I'd say, less than 90 degrees there, which isn't bad, but isn't brilliant, I wouldn't say. Then the foot is on a rocker that just goes towards the inside of the leg, and we also have a toe down and a heel down that allows a bit more posability. Okay, transformation time, and please be gentle with me. I have never had to do a transformation live on camera before, so we'll see how badly this goes, and let's get started. First of all, we're going to grab hold of our beefy boy, and I like to start with the arms, so I'm going to just get the fists here. They're really tight, as I say, it's the paint I think, and just get them put in out of the way. This will come in handy obviously later on. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the front here and just pull it straight down. And then we're going to grab this piece right here. This looks like it, or feels like it doesn't want to move, and it feels like you might even scratch it, but actually it doesn't. It's got good clearance, so just give it a good yank. Then I like to turn the head around just so that he doesn't get some sort of travel sickness by having to look at the ground all the time, but that's just me being finicky. Make sure everything's sort of lined up. That part might come undone a few times during transformation. Then what I like to do is grab this backpack, and it can be a little finicky, so I mean about the bit coming open, and then we just sort of get it out of the way like this. Then we get the arms, and we're going to rotate this little yellow piece, and we are going to move it down like so. Then we're going to get the other side, and unsurprisingly, we're going to do the same. It should now look like this abomination. I mean, it doesn't have to, that's just how it's ended up, and that's fine. What we're going to do then is we have a tab here, and we have a tab here, and they are going to go into here and underneath into this. But to do so, what we have to do is we actually have to move the arms in, which it's not finicky. It can be just a little bit annoying. First, what we're going to do though is we're going to get the waist, and we need to rotate that around. Again, the breastplate part has come open. Try to make sure this bit is as straight as you can. It can be really annoying if this is not straight, and it will potentially move as you're trying to do stuff. But once we've got that there, that is all good. Now I like to actually get the legs open just because I find this easier. So fold these feet together and do that on both sides. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the inside of the leg right here, and we are going to pull this out. It just pops out. There is a little tab that keeps it in place. We're going to do the same with the other side. Don't worry about the legs, feet coming open. It happens. Not too much of a problem. So once we've got the guy like this, looking like some sort of weird frog, then we're in good stead for the next step. And the next step is we're going to get these arms and we're going to rotate them inside the cap. To do so, you're going to grab this piece and we're just going to rotate it up. Well, this wants to just slide up and the bicep area wants to go like that. Don't worry about the windows being in tight and flush at this particular moment. Then we're going to do the same on this side and rotate this up. And you can see that tab there, that is going to tab into the other bicep. Now what we need to do is rotate the bottom of the arms or the forearms. And again, you will see two little tabs or tab and a hole, and these are all going to squish together. Getting them to all pop together isn't easy in one foul swoop. So you're probably going to have to do A and then you're probably going to have to do B like this and come on this. But that should be all of it together. That's actually pretty decent. I then like to move these hands out of the way like so. Just makes everything else a little bit easier when you need to pack things in. So now we're going to twist the leg at this joint here, and you're going to need to use your hand, both hands sort of thing. And then these feet are going to slot into this hole. So we will push this in here. Come on. And then you'll see there's some tabs and they're going to slot into here. I find as long as you line it up kind of okay, then you just squish it and it'll go into place. If it doesn't go straight away, give it a little bit of a push. That should all line up fairly nicely. Then what we're going to do, of course, is going to do the same with the other leg. And again, you probably need to make sure you pivot it right. Otherwise, the leg tends to just try and splay out. Make sure that goes into that hole. And once again, we're going to squish this side in nice and tightly. You'll know, and it does go in nicely. There shouldn't be any gapping or any issues like that. I find this one, rather than trying to be like too precise, if you kind of get it in the right spot, give it a good squeeze, it tends to end up in the right area. And we will end up with Brawn looking like this. Then you'll notice that there are two little holes here and there are two tabs. These don't tab in properly. Don't expect them to do much more than rest the fists into them. As long as you're doing that, it's fine. Then what we're going to do is you grab this piece. It's very tight. It feels like it shouldn't click open, but it does. This then is all going to slot into this part down here. And there are some tabs that it will slot into. As we bring it down, however, there are some tabs just under here that it's going to slot into as well. And you're just going to have to give it a bit of a push with a bit of force down into that. Everything should look quite smooth. And then finally, we are going to pop these into the back here, and they should click in quite nicely. Just, yep, there we go. And it don't expect it to go too hard in. And there we have Brawn fully transformed. Just give the windows a push at the last moment. That's what I like to do, otherwise they'll be sticking out. And yeah, we have Brawn fully transformed into his vehicle mode. And what a vehicle mode it is. I think this is brilliant. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's close to it. It evokes every feeling you would want of the 1984 original. It looks like it feels like it's coloured like it. You can tell this is Brawn without having to guess very hard. That said, I think it does some things better and a couple of things maybe not as good. And we are really nitpicking here, but let's get into the detail. First up, you notice there is a little bit of a gap there at the side, and the wheels are on pegs, mushroom pegs, which I don't mind on this. I think it works. We've got a little gas tank here, but unfortunately we don't have that beautiful blue sticker on the back, which is a shame as well. But that's it. That's the only problem with this, in my opinion. Everything looks good. I mean, here we are underneath. That's why I like to have his head facing upwards, but those are the only nits I have to pick. Now this tyre here actually does come off, which is interesting. If nothing else, I don't really see the point of it. You can pop it in his hand as some sort of odd bod weapon. Not really sure why you'd want to do that. And of course the hole in the top can be used as gun storage as well. But why you'd want to do that, I have no idea. But the alt mode is damn good. To sum up, this figure takes what made the original 1984 Brawn toy great for me, and it turns it up to 11. It evokes all that nostalgia, but it's just simply better in every way. The robot mode looks fantastic. Yeah, I wish the heels were a bit bigger. Maybe if we could have had a visor for the face, but no one gets that anyway, so whatever. That's it. That's the only problems I can come up with. There's nothing else that's wrong with this figure whatsoever. The alt mode, yeah, it just looks great. Tiny bit of gapping, would have loved to have had the blue sticker on the back. Nitpicking. This is unmistakably Brawn. It is everything that the original was in modern clothing, and I love this figure. And I love Hasbro for coming up with it. Bravo, Hasbro, bravo. Hopefully you enjoyed my musings on this update to an iconic toy from my childhood, and if you did, leaving a like would be very appreciated, and why not consider subscribing for more G1 related Transformers content. I plan on doing a lot more in the future. I have a lot of figures and a lot of things I want to talk about, and it's just going to be my take. I can't promise it's going to be the best stuff out there, but if you want to hear somebody who liked them when he was a kid ranting about how he likes them or dislikes them now, this might be the place for you. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, Gamerbug out.